Hello, my name is Jason JROCK Houston. You guys are listening to an interview being done for Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. It's my great pleasure to be speaking with lead singer Sean Peck from the band Cage. How are you doing tonight, Sean?
I love talking about new Cage albums, so I'm doing great, man.
Okay, now the name of the album is Ancient Evil, from what I understand, and it drops in October. Is that correct?
October 30th, the day before Halloween. It's perfect.
Oh, that's perfect timing. I love that. Now, I was reading some information about the new Cage album. I understand, once again, this is a concept album that is based around a story that you created. And I understand that you have some guests on the album. I understand Blaze Bayley, who most people know from Iron Maiden, that he's a guest on this album. So how did you come to get Blaze to appear on your album?
Blaze and I have an infamous history together, and gradually over the years we kind of patched things up, and we needed, the story of this album takes place in London, England for most of the story in 1869, so I wanted to get someone with an authentic English accent to play the main character.
Wow.
There's 5 tracks that have character acting in it, and so Blaze doesn't sing on it.
Yeah.
He does the character acting parts, and he just did an amazing job, and really proud to have him on the record.
Well, it's great. We don't need to get into the history, but I'm glad to hear that if you and him at one time had a falling out, that you guys were able to patch up your differences and get him to appear on the album. That, as they say, sometimes music really is a universal language and has the power to bring people together. So I think that's just going to make this album that much greater.
That's kind of why another motivation was, to have people go, oh my God, he's on their Cage record now. So that was really cool. And we played a show with Blaze in San Diego, and I went up and sang Man on the Edge with him on stage.
Oh, that's
so that
cool.
was kind of the start for patching it all up. And like I said, he doesn't sing on the record. He just does the character acting of the main character, Elliot Worthington, and really gives a full-on authentic vibe to the horror story that this thing is.
Well, that's cool. Now, give us a little bit, if you mind getting a little bit about what the concept is of the album or the overall story.
Well, basically, I was hit up about 5 years ago to do an album with some ex-King Diamond guys, which is kind of ironic because now I'm singing with Denner Sherman, the guys from Merciful Fate. But before that, some of the other members hit me up and we're going to do this record and we want you to sing. And I go, well, cool, why don't we do a horror concept story and I'll work up some kind of story. So I started working up the story and piecing it together more and more, and then eventually they kind of flaked out, and I was left with this, with that, at that time was probably a 20-page story, and then once I started filling in the blanks, it became about 140-page kind of mini novel. And I guess it was so cool. I'm like, man, we need to use this for Cage. Forget that. So I brought it up to the guys, and they read the manuscript, and they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. So I'm a big fan of King Diamond, and we've had some good success with the concept album before, with the Hell Destroyer album. And they're so hard to do, man, to do good, to not have it be so abstract and meaningless where you just listen to the songs and you don't even care what's going on, and then to make the songs catchy enough where, you have a chorus going on where it somehow ties into the story. So it's really difficult to make them good, but,
And what's the hardest thing about making an album like this? Is it just laying down the tracks and making sure that it all fits together and coincides with the story, or is it more so how are you going to be able to recreate it live?
Well, that's with every album. I mean, when you make songs, normally the first time I ever sing a song is when we record it. So you hear the singing on the album, and that is literally the first time I ever sang that song. So you work it out, you get it all in your head, and then you create the tracks, and you know how it's going to go, and then you lay down the vocals. So it's always something different to once you make the album, you're like, okay, now we have to pick some of these songs we're going to play live. We have to learn how to play them live. But every band usually goes through that thing. But, it's real trippy just piecing it all together, because you're not writing it from let's take the first part of the story and write that song. It's all, it comes from all different angles. Like, this is the end song, this is the song in the middle, and then eventually you get it all done. Like, when we were finished with this thing, there was a key component that I left out of the story, and I'm like, oh, damn, I forgot to explain how this happens. And we had this leftover little interlude piece. It was only like a minute and a half. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And so got kind of a half song in there. But the whole album is 19 tracks, and it's almost 80 minutes long. We're still waiting to hear from the mastering plant to see if it will all fit on one CD. It's like right on the edge, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm asking, as far as when you guys start touring behind this, are you going to be performing like how Queensryche would perform like Operation Mindcrime and concert, or Pink Floyd would do something like The Wall, where this is going to be the main part of a show, or are you just going to play a little bit of...
No, right now I think we have 4 of the new songs on the set. We're working with a 15-song headlining set, and I think 4 of them are new. We've got 7 albums now, and there's just so many, classic Cage songs that the fans want to hear. We kind of have our, the stuff that we have to play.
Yeah.
We brought in some stuff from Darker Than Black. It's heavily set now is heavy doses of Darker Than Black and Hell Destroyer. So we brought out some old ones we haven't played for a while. Kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, and the only other thing I wanted to touch base on a little, Sean, is I know these days, while we're talking primarily about Cage tonight, that you're also involved with a band called Death Dealer. And the only thing I want to kind of ask you about that, when you write songs these days, do you know right away, okay, this is a Cage song, or this is a song I'm going to use for Death Dealer?
Well, it was easy doing this last session because any idea that wasn't tied to this concept story could easily be a Death Dealer song. So if I had an independent idea, like when I came up with the idea of the song Seance for Death Dealer, I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't take place in this concept story.
Yeah.
That goes straight. So just because on a topical level, it was real easy to compartmentalize them.
Yeah.
And now, right now, the current thing we're working on is Cade is working on the next, which is called Project Number 1, which is like going to be, I can tell you off air what it's going to be, but we cannot reveal it.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, but it's going to be, but anyway, so right now I'm compartmentalizing that and the new Tenor Sherman LPs.
Wow.
And it's mostly compartmentalized on topical stuff, but those definitely have 5. But I think definitely the Cage and Death Dealer, style-wise, are pretty close when I write. So it'll be interesting going forward, see how that all works out.
Yeah, and so like on this latest Cage album, I would imagine, being that you're the lead singer, you're the principal songwriter, but is Dave Garcia and the other guys in the band, are they equally involved with the songwriting?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of good collaboration on this album. It's usually me and the 2 guitar players that write the songs, and just the 3 of us jamming. Sometimes as a band we'll jam live, but it's slowly morphed into, kind of the 2, me and Casey, the other guitar player, get together and we'll have a little session where we bounce ideas off each other, and then Dave sometimes records entire songs that we tear apart sometimes, or sometimes we use the entire song. Like on the Ancient Evil, there's a song, Sinister Six, and he just goes, here, I got the song, and it was just we used it right as it was, straight out of the gate. And then for Ancient Evil, though, I was a primary writer. I came up with a lot of the stuff, and of course all the lyrics and all the melody lines, but there was a lot of guitars and arranging that I came up with this just because the story was kind of my baby. But real good collaboration. I love that, Casey's the new guitar player we got is just a killer riff master, just has the perfect Cage vibe. It's just like literally writing a new song a day. He's kind of retired, and so every day I wake up, he's getting up at 5 a.m. already, laying down a whole new track. I'm like, holy mackerel. So a lot of stuff flowing, and there's for being such a massive undertaking, it really came together pretty easy for what it was.
And as far as, again, the writing and creating of this whole project, like I guess the story was a big part of it. So was that the first thing, coming up, creating the story, and then once you got the story and the idea in your head, what this concept is, then do you start writing the songs based around the concept?
Yeah, well, I kind of took the time to lay it out, like, okay, and I did it like one song per chapter.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So there's basically 13 chapters, and then 5 interlude parts, and then the one song that's kind of the part I told you about where, like, I left something out, so we gotta, like, take a little time to explain this. So I kind of wrote one song a chapter, and then, kind of started naming chapters, and then was able to tie the chapters into the songs, and then from those coming up with choruses, that sometimes contain the words of, the focal point of that chapter, and sometimes they're a little metaphoric, and it all came together, man. But like I said, it's just, we have a couple early reviews that, some people and some inner circle fans are like, dude, this is your greatest album yet. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you're always on edge to wonder if is this album going to be one that more grows on people, or are they instantly going to jam on it? So far, people have said, yeah, you can instantly jam on it because there's hooks and there's not too complicated song structure. But there's the more you listen to it, the deeper it gets, and the more you discover type of thing. So it looks like we got a good balance from the early indications, what people are saying.
Well, and let me ask you, because again, this is based on a concept, a story that you've created, but are any of the characters, such as the one that Blaze plays, are any of these characters based on, real life encounters you've had with people, or real life people that you base these characters on?
Not really. The basic story is, I read a lot, I watch a lot of horror movies, play a lot of video games, collect a lot of comic books, and read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft, and so all those incidents came to forge this idea I had. It's basically I can give a quick synopsis. It takes place in London, England, 1869, wow, and this guy is he's a prison guard, and he's actually like kind of the hangman guy. He's a high-level prisoner. I did a lot of research on it to see what there's a big explosion in prison building in London during that time, and so it takes place in Newgate Prison, which was a real place, and the guy's wife's really sick, and he gets solicited by some strange little guy, like, hey, these doctors can't help your wife, but my associate is from Egypt, and he's got some different techniques, and he may be able to save her. And long story short, he takes this guy up on it and gets betrayed, and then there's some flashback scenes to Egypt. It involves a monster, and then there's a giant, chase through the catacombs of London with a big climactic ending, and a bunch of stuff happens in between. So, not too complicated monster story, but a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of action.
Well, it sounds like, besides being, a great singer and talented songwriter, Sean, you got quite a, you're quite a creative guy, quite the imagination. Have you ever thought of taking a project like this, like a step further, and, maybe, creating like a DVD or like a movie type project, to kind of, take it to the next step, so people kind of, bring your story.
We're working on a music video for the song called Across the Sea of Madness, and this music video director, he's like a filmmaker. He read this part of the story, and he's basically trying to recreate the whole thing, which is a crazy undertaking since it takes place in the desert, and it takes place on the ocean, and then it takes place in London. It's kind of a transfer from the flashback scene to the current part of the story, and so it's going to be like a month-long to shoot this thing, but this music video is going to be like a mini movie, so we're that's going to be the first taste of having this kind of idea come to life in that fashion. It's great to see.
Well, how cool is that? I can't wait. I can't wait to check that out. Now, of course, I got to ask you. I love bands that put like concept albums like this out. Probably the obvious one that recently comes to mind. I got to ask you if you had a chance to check out Jeff Tate's new band, Operation Mindcrime. They just released their first project, and it sounds, it just killer stuff. I mean, it sounds like classic Queensryche. How could it not? But it's just it's one of these great little concept albums, like you're saying, that it's got these neat little interludes, before each song, and it just flows very nice.
I'll have to check it out. I mean, I'm really
busy with your own career.
I'm definitely in the Todd LaTorre camp when it comes to Queensryche. I was calling for them to get a new singer for years, and it was cool that actually happened when I've been the one saying that, because we all wanted to hear the old classic Queensryche.
Yeah.
And the last few Queensryche albums have been so bad that I've been kind of down on the Jeff Tate thing. So I'll have to give it a shot there and send you a recommendation.
Okay, and then of course, you're obviously an Iron Maiden fan, so I got to ask if you had a chance to hear any of their new music. They put out this great double CD of all new music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened to it several times. It's definitely the best thing they've done since Brave New World, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think it's I don't think it'll be rated in their top 5 albums of all time.
No.
But really, really cool. I love the videos. Since I'm a video game guy, the video is awesome. And like I said, it's an album I keep going back to and listening to, and it's a major step in the right direction from Final Frontier, which I did not care for at all. I love Maiden. I'm not just being real frank about.
Yeah.
I feel about it.
Well, I think overall putting out two CD of all new music, that's you're giving your fans, you're getting their money's worth, so to speak. So that's a pretty great thing in itself. But and again, it's not just all filler material. It's pretty good stuff,
Yeah. But like I said, I enjoy the Maiden album, so I'm definitely excited about it. They're one of the greatest metal bands ever. So what can you say?
Yeah, and then I know you're also a Sabbath fan, so I got to ask, what do you think about those guys? They recently announced that they're going to go on their farewell tour next year.
Sabbath is, what can you say, legends. I mean, my favorite Sabbath album is actually Headless Cross. So, but I mean, you just can't deny Tony Iommi.
Yeah.
And to have them, be doing their farewell tour is definitely something for the history books, so everyone should see it. I saw Sabbath when Halford sang too, so.
Oh wow!
I got to experience that.
Wow, that's kind of interesting. So you first kind of came into Sabbath, during the Tony Martin years, and then you probably went back and checked all the other stuff out. But that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I love the Headless Cross album and the Eternal Idol album. Just because they're more my style of metal, I think.
Yeah.
I love the classic. Sabbath songs are great, and some of the Dio stuff. But Headless Cross, man, those songs are those are the ones that grab me the most.
Oh yeah. And so, as far as Cage taking this on tour, you guys, you getting dates already lined up, or are you pretty much kind of waiting to see what the response is once the album drops?
No, our new label, SMG, which is this fantastic label. It's like after all these years, we finally have someone like really supporting it, really pushing it. We're going to be we're playing the Throwback Metal Festival in Vegas October 9th. We're going out to the East Coast to do at least 1 week, maybe 2 weeks in early November. And then it looks like March will be probably a month in Europe of dates. So the last tour we did in Europe was really successful, man. We had an incredible amount of just hardcore Cage fans, and it was just so good to see. And this new lineup that we have is like my favorite lineup ever. I mean, we got, 2 young guys in the band, and they're just like awesome, and the energy level of the band is just so great right now. I mean, every time we go into practice, I mean, the dudes are just doing head whips like from the first note, and it's just great. So this new lineup is, like I said, no disrespect to all the great people that have been in Cage over the years, but this new lineup is by far my favorite lineup, just because everyone is just so into it and all about the steel.
And so, like, you and Dave Garcia are kind of a mainstay in Cage, but what's that like each time you guys go through a lineup change? I mean, you sound pretty excited about the new guys, but did it take you a long time to find these new guys?
No, it was crazy. The three dudes kind of blew out all at once, and like within one phone call, I had three new guys, and we'll go, well, we'll just try them out, and it just worked instantly. And then we ended up having to replace Dwight Magic on the bass just because his family stuff, he couldn't tour, like we're about ready to go on tour. So we had to replace him with Alex Picard, who was kind of a friend of all those dudes anyways, and he's just fantastic. So it was easy, man. I mean, there's, we're for being an underground band, there's a lot of people that would love to play with us, and these guys are just the perfect additions. I mean, the drummer Sean Elge is just like, he's my favorite drummer we've had because he's got all the technical skill, and he's just like a maniac to watch. I mean, the sticks are twirling. He's so entertaining to watch, and then he's playing it from hell. And then same with Casey on guitar. I mean, he's just like an young kid with old school metal soul, and on stage, his stage presence is just killer. And so it's all good right now, man.
Well, so I got to ask you, like, when you got these new guys, and you audition them or whatever that process was, when you got to the point that, okay, these are the guys we're gonna, have in our band now. Do you you obviously have an idea of what Cage is supposed to sound like, but like, for example, when you went in the studio and you started recording this new album, Angel Evil, do you let the new guys come in and like you tell them, okay, Cage has a certain sound, we expect you guys to play this, in this style, or do you kind of allow them to kind of put their, their little influence on each of the tracks?
Yeah, before we got to the writing, we already knew. It's like we've only had one time where we actually went through an audition process. It's just like always worked out. Like there's always been a guy like right there that fit in pretty perfectly. Only one time did we have like a time where we auditioned guitar players, and like this time, just like, hey, he's a great drummer, and then I got my buddy who play guitar, and they came in. It was just like the perfect fucking guys for the
that's cool.
The thing. So we already knew before we started writing that they had. We had a short stint with one guitar player. It was an incredible technical guitar player, but he couldn't write a riff.
Wow.
I can't write. I don't have any ideas. We're like, are you kidding me? I got like 10 right now. So
wow.
It was good. Yeah, it was the only time it was a very strange experience. Like the guitar player that couldn't write a riff. All he could do was copy other people. So he didn't last but like a month. But now it's just the writing is like, I mean, there's just riffs coming out from everywhere, which is good because we're busy. We're already halfway done with the next record.
Wow, that's cool. So the plan kind of like to get out there and once Ancient Evil's out, you're kind of going to tour behind that for a while, and then maybe 6 months down the line you'll be releasing the next album.
Yeah, the next album might not be under the name Cage, but it's going to be written all by Cage. And
okay.
Like I said, I can share with you off air.
Okay, we will get into that later. I understand. Okay, and I got to ask you because Cage is a band I've been hearing about for quite some time. I'm aware of a name like a lot of people. You guys have been kicking around since what year? I mean, what was the year when you guys first formed?
92.
92. Okay, so you guys have you've been doing it for quite a while now. So, and like I said, it seems to me that Cage, it gets a lot more exposure over in Europe. Why do you think that is, Sean?
It's just, Europe has a big metal infrastructure. They've got a lot of magazines. They've got a lot of festivals. Every town in Europe kind of has a rock bar. We've, through the years have been real lucky with the press over there. The press is just incredible to us. I mean, we started the whole career by winning the Rock Hard, Best New Band of the Year contest.
Wow.
We didn't even know we were entered in.
Wow, that's cool.
Rock Hard is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, metal mag over there. So that's kind of how we got our start. And we played Bakken, played a bunch of festivals, and done some touring over there. But we have a great time playing in the United States too, and there's lots of metalheads in the U.S. So you get asked that question all the time. I mean, every European band, all they want to do is come here and tour the United States.
Yeah.
And vice versa. But I like playing anywhere where there's people that are into it. So
And what kind of response do you guys get, like in your hometown of San Diego? I guess what I'm asking is like, for example, are you able to go out like in everyday life? Do you get noticed or recognized a lot by fans on the street or
in the scene? I did just because I've been in the scene so long.
Yeah.
We kind of rose up and really worked the scene super hard and just dominated it for a long time. I mean, just selling tickets and. We got to open, every band in town hated us because we got to open for every band that came through. I mean, Iron Maiden, Dio, Priest, we got everything. And so we were the most hated band because we were opening for all the shows, but that's just because we worked it so hard and sold tickets. And then after we kind of pulled back and just said, we don't work the local scene as hard as we used to. We kind of just show up, pick the shows that we want to play. And that's just because, we already really, crushed it locally as hard as we could. And now we're concentrating, on a more global thing. But we still like to play live. So, we're playing a show with Exodus coming up here. And like I said, we probably play once every couple months or, month and a half.
And so at this point, are you guys kind of doing these like a lot of bands, these weekend dates, or once the album drops, you're going to try to get on a kind of put together a little major tour where, like you said, maybe
there's a bunch of stuff in the works. I mean, we're looking at joining a major act tour. There's all kinds of irons in the fire, but you're definitely going to see us on the road more than ever before. So it's great.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because again, Cage is a band I've been knowing about since like you said the early '90s, and you guys are, I give you credit because you're still out there doing it. Like a lot of bands, you could have just given up and and folded. But I got respect for bands like you guys that kind of you stick with what you do, and that's why even all these years later, you guys are still out there doing it. You still got a fan base because to me you guys are a band that remind me a lot of Judas Priest. You're kind of a modern day defenders of the faith, if you will.
Yeah, we just, we love to play live. Live is really where we set ourselves apart. I mean, the albums are great, and when people see us live, that's where the holy shit factor comes in, and that's why we got such a, devout
fan base.
Fans out in Europe, because in Europe, and the people that have seen us live here too, they're just like, oh my God, these guys are, live is our thing where we really kick ass, and there was all the bands I loved growing up, the albums were amazing, but then when you saw them live, it was just so much more powerful, and it just seemed like the performances were better live than listening to the record.
See, that's why, Sean, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited, about the fact there's going to be this new Cage album. I'll tell you why. You're talking to a guy that, grew up in the, on bands from the 70s and 80s, and I miss, a lot of kids today, they don't even know what is a record store, what's a record, what's a CD. A lot of kids today, they don't even want to buy the whole album. They want it. I'll just get one song for 99 cents. I love the fact that this new Cage album is going to have, like you said, 19 songs or 19 tracks, whatever you want to say. You're giving your fans a full package as opposed to we're just going to release a 3 or 4 song EP. I feel like with this new Cage album, if I go out and buy it, I'm going to at least get the full deal. Be able to hold it, because it's a thing in my hand.
It's like a double. I think it's longer than the Maiden now.
Oh, that's
on 2 CDs, and then there's an ebook on Amazon. You can look up Ancient Evil.
Oh, cool.
And buy the ebook right now. And I did an audiobook version of it, which we haven't put up for sale yet. But people that pre-order the CD are going to get the audiobook for free. So if you don't want to read, you can just sit and listen to me character act all these parts, which I got better as it went along, so that was an interesting challenge. But most of the people that have read the book, really like it. And like I said, it's a quick read because it's all very action oriented. There's a lot of you can imagine this being watching someone play a video game and a lot of the combat scenes. So I've gotten pretty good reviews on the book, even though I don't think I'm quite an accomplished author yet, but. My first one, I think, will be a good tie-in to the music and give people insight. You know, if they really get into the story, they go, well, you know, I'll read the book to find out all the nuances of what really happened.
Exactly, and you know, you just hearing that, you know, I'm just sitting here thinking, man, I'm going to get not only get the new Cage CD, I'm going to go get this audiobook, because I could just imagine sitting in my car listening to this, you know, on my way to work or something, or on my way home, and just, you know, it's just another way to really get into this new, you know, this new Cage album. So like this audiobook, are people going to be able to order like on online stores like Amazon and you know, CD Baby and everywhere?
Yeah, we have the book actually printed in paperback too. We have a ton of the paperback books, which that's going out to the people that have pre-ordered it. But we're still figuring out with the label how we're going to put the audio book out there. But yeah, it's going to be cool, man. It's and like I said, it's not a lot of the people that try concept albums, they go too abstract with like, oh, it's a story about a dream the guy had in another dimension, and you know, blah blah blah. This is like straight out freaking, you know, horror story, monster movie. So I think you know, even people that don't like to read, which is a lot of people these days, can sit down in one sitting and like get the whole vibe of it.
And see, the cool thing about an audiobook or something like that is, for this project, is the fact, again, you could have easily got somebody else to, you know, do the voice, but we're having, you know, Sean Peck do the audiobook, and he's kind of a creator, a mastermind behind this story. So you're having an actual creator kind of, you know, read the story, and I think that's going to make it that much cooler of a product, you know, for people to have.
True, yeah, and I get a little crazy acting out the parts and stuff. So it was fun doing it.
And so, as far as you know, the guest or whatever that you have on the album, you mentioned Blaze Bayley. Are there any other notable names on there besides him, or anybody you care to?
There's no notable names. There's a couple other character voice actor people that just did a killer job. They're not, you know, they're not any big names or anything, but they did great jobs as it was. So. Even in the audiobook, I think there's I used a couple other voices in there too. So.
Oh, that's cool. And now let me ask you, as far as the Cage back catalog, because I know you guys have been with a lot of different record labels over the years. Are all the Cage albums, are people still able to go get the back catalogs or anything out of print?
CageHeavyMetal.com, CageHeavyMetal.com, CageHeavyMetal.com. You can get every album except Astrology, which is out of print.
And is there any chance that may one day like be back in print, or is it a matter of somebody else owning the rights?
Yeah, no, we own all the rights to everything. We're probably going to remix a few of the records, and you know, I know Dark and the Black's going to be reissued soon, but we're probably going to remix a couple. I think 3 of the records. Might remix Astrology, Supremacy of Steel, and Science of Annihilation, and maybe release them in a giant box set with a Hell Destroyer statue.
Oh wow, how cool would that be? Now again, I got to ask you, Sean, because I love a lot of the album covers that you guys have put out over the years. I got to ask, are those album covers, are they designed like somebody from the label, or you or somebody in the band involved with the artwork?
No, it's me and, you know, the artist Mark Sasso did a lot of the Dio stuff. You know, I come up with the basic idea, and we just keep tweaking on it until, you know, we got it how I like it. And so far, he's done a great job for us.
Wow! So you really are involved in all aspects of this. I mean, like I said, I can just hear what a creative guy you are. That's great. So I guess, you know, Cage has been at this, like you said, since '92, and you're still going at it. So again, congratulations on that. But I guess you get a lot of your angst out, you know, through Cage. But I got to ask you, have you ever had the urge to do like a Sean Peck solo album, or are you pretty much able to do what you want through Cage?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think I'd ever be in another band, because Cage really was, you know, everything that I needed. But, you know, the Death Dealer thing happened, and now with Dennis Sherman, so, you know, and then I did a little stint with Warrior, and I've toyed around with some other well-known bands that have asked me to sing, or at least wanted me to try out. But this is probably where we're going to stop with the
concepts.
with these 3 bands. I got the full plate, and then with this new album that Cage is writing right now is going to be an additional potential bunch of work. But right now I'm good with Cage, Death Dealer, and Dennis Sherman.
So the Dennis Sherman project, you are involved with that, because I've been seeing ads for that album coming out. So all these albums are coming out around the same time, huh?
Yeah, Death Dealer and Dennis Sherman October 2nd, and then Cage October 30th. So I'm calling it the month of Pecktober.
Oh, I like that. Now the Dennis Sherman project. Will you guys be doing any live shows to support that, or is this just a recording project?
No, it's a band. We're going to be doing touring, and we're already working on a full-length LP. So that's a major band, full steam ahead band.
And now this kind of may sound like a silly question, but the Sherman project, I was curious, being that you have these two guys from King Diamond, and you, when you say it's kind of does the band sound anything like either King Diamond or any of the stuff you've done before, or is it like a totally different project?
Well, they're from Merciful Fate.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to sound like me a little bit, but it definitely sounds different. Writing with Hank Sherman, his style is just so unique. But once you hear that, maybe we could do an interview on that and talk about that another day.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're involved with that, because, like I said, I've been seeing ads for that. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting to do an interview about that. But down the line, and now you were mentioning earlier that Cage had done some shows with Dio back in the day. I was wondering if you got any great stories you could share with me, about Ronnie James Dio, because he's one of my all-time favorite guys.
Yeah, one of the shows was Cage, Dio, and Maiden, and it was just like we walked backstage, and there's the Dio dressing room, the Cage dressing room, and the Maiden. We're just like, it's never going to get any better than this. This is like the best it's ever going to be. But the only story I really have is, I think we played with Dio maybe 4 times.
Okay.
We were down in Mexico playing this Monterey Metal Fest, and they have this huge backstage area, and we were walking somewhere, and we walked past the open door to his dressing room. The dressing room was like so huge. It was like literally 50 feet by 60 feet. It was huge. And he's way in the back, and we just walked by, and he's like literally 50 feet away from us, looking through this doorway. And he just yells out, "Cage, hey, Cage guys!" And we're like, "Whoa, what?" And we poke our head in there, and there's Ronnie, I think with his wife, just sitting on a chair, goes, "Hey, come here, man. How you guys doing?" And he we couldn't even believe that he even remembered who we were, and we went in and said hi and shook his hand, and hey, we're gonna have a great show. All right, cool. But it's just so wild that he even remembered who the hell we were, from scouting us through a freaking doorway. That's the only story I got.
Yeah, I talked to several people over years, and they've all told me stories like that. That Ronnie was one of these guys that he made a point of, no matter who he was talking to, he'd find out the person's name, and he'd never. He ever came across that person again, he made a point of remembering people's names. And I've heard stories from people that played with him, like in the Dio band, and they'd say, Ronnie would go out and talk to all the fans after a show. The rest of the band would be backstage or go back to a hotel, but he'd go out there and talk to people. And in fact, the band was leaving the concert hall one day, and he'd seen this one fan kind of like homeless hanging out in front of the arena or something. This kid didn't have a ride home. He said, get on the bus. We're going to give you a ride home. They said, that's just the kind of guy this guy was,
Yeah, I mean, we got our Cage artist from him doing the Killing the Dragon album cover. And, Mark still does all the Dio stuff, so...
Wow,
that connection.
Well, that is cool. And of course, Sean, a lot of rock guys these days have been writing, autobiographies telling their life story. I was curious, you're still kind of, young and doing this, but do you have any interest in writing a book or anything like that, telling your life story?
Probably. I think maybe 20 years down the road, I'll probably write a book. I mean, I'm already writing. There's another book I already wrote that actually is a song on the Dennis Sherman called Seven Skulls.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got another screenplay that I'll probably put into a book form, and then I started this other one, but I don't know if I'll finish that one. But yeah, I mean, I'm dabbling in it, so I'll probably I got so many funny stories to tell. I gotta put them down before I die, probably.
Wow, well, and I love the fact that we're just sitting here and we're talking about, Cage obviously the main topic tonight, but you're already involved with another all these other projects, and it's great to see one guy has his hands in so many different things. Does it ever get hard to just concentrate on all these different things?
I'm just now kind of experiencing it. So far I'm able to juggle it. I didn't really want all 3 albums to come out in October. It just kind of happened that way. So once things space each other out a little more, I'm sure it'll get easier. But I got a lot of ADHD anyways. I'm always freaking jumping from one idea to the next. So it probably suits me pretty well.
Oh, well, once again, Sean, I'd like to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. I really enjoyed talking to you as always, and I definitely will be getting in touch with you down the line because I'd like to talk about some other projects, but tonight, like we said, Cage is the main topic of conversation, and I can't wait to get the new Cage album. Once I have a chance to hear the whole album, I'd like to, maybe do this again and talk about some of the more songs in the album more in detail. But I just want to encourage people to. You got these 3 new albums coming out, and as you call it, Pecktober. I like that. That's what we're going to call it. So.
Pecktober.
So thanks for all you Cage fans. Go support Cage and Sean Peck and all his many projects. And it's been so great talking to you, Sean. So I'm gonna, if you guys ever come around playing the Los Angeles area, I'm gonna do my best to come catch the Cage show. So thanks so much for doing this. I promise I'll be in touch.
CageHeavyMetal.com. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, you take care, my friend. Bye bye.